Are we up and running? All right. The May 18th Middlebury Town Council meeting will be called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kent Kaufman,
Here.
Mike Holloway,
Here.
Gary Kripe,
Here.
Carl Miller,
Here.
and Kevin Miller.
Here.
All right, we have the minutes for the May 4th meeting for consideration.
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes of the May 4th, 2026 meeting as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, at this time, we'll open the floor for public comments.
Is this working? Because the last meeting, it wasn't working, so you couldn't hear. I think it was a redevelopment commission meeting. You couldn't hear anything, so I know it's not always a,
It's on, as far as I can tell.
okay, thank you.
Picking it up.
Pam Kaiser, and I shop and dine within the
Sorry,
town
Pam,
limits,
if we
but
could
I
just have-
live
if we
and
could
I
just-
pay
Excuse me,
taxes in
Pam.
rural
Pam, if
Middlebury.
you could just let us know if you're in town or out of town.
According to the ordinance.
I live in rural Middlebury.
Do you
Today,
live
I'm-
with, do you or do you not live within the town limits of Middlebury as the ordinance states for all public speakers?
Mike, do you intimidate all people or just women?
No, I don't. I'm just asking a simple
And
question.
I just said,
The
I live
ordinance
in
is list-
rural Middlebury.
The ordinance is listed very clearly and says to identify whether or not you live within the town limits. That's what it says. That's what the ordinance says.
Today, I'm going to
Pam?
talk about
Are
vibrant
You
we not
need
gonna
to,
communities.
follow
you
the
need to
rules?
follow the ordinance or not speak in the public comment section. The ordinance
Maybe you
is
should
written clearly
consider
and
changing
passed.
that, because it seems like you're
Listen, it was
creating two
written and passed
classes.
clearly by the council. So you can either abide by the ordinance or not speak in the public comments.
Well, I am from out
Do
of-
you or do you not live within the
Middlebury,
town
town.
limits?
Today, I'm going to,
Do you or do you not live within the town limits, Pam?
you know I do not live in the town.
That's what you need to say.
Today, I'm going to talk about vibrant communities, subsidized housing, and Mary Kripe's involvement in both. Vibrant Communities began in 2016, and their 2023 action agenda says that Mary Kripe was on the organizing team, steering committee, community task force, and was the Middlebury coordinator. She is very familiar with vibrant communities. The action agenda's priorities for Middlebury included this statement, and I quote, "We will research and develop home buyer subsidy models to support our growing population, models such as young family and first-time home buyer programs, including incentives for workforce housing developers to construct denser residential units," end quote. The term subsidy, young family, and first-time home buyer programs are used throughout the Vibrant Communities action agendas. These terms are also used throughout Middlebury's comprehensive plan. Financial incentives also came up in the original Grant Street proposal. It included language that, quote, "Middlebury will entertain reasonable requests to provide financial assistance," end quote. Middlebury isn't the only town that has considered financial assistance. At Napanee Vibrant Community meeting in Napanee, Mayor Jenkins said that Vibrant Communities was a collaborative effort throughout the county, and that they were considering, quote, "having a program where the city and business can do a forgivable loan to get people to move to Napanee." More recently, at the Riverbend rezoning meeting, Commissioner Rogers quoted the comprehensive plan regarding the housing subsidy programs, then asked Mary Kripe, quote, "What does it mean by a young family-focused housing subsidy program. I'm not sure. And Mary replied, I'm not sure what that means either. Mary Kripe has worked with Comprehensive Plan since at least 2014 while working for the City of Goshen and has held leadership roles with Vibrant Communities. Yet she claims she doesn't know what housing subsidy programs are. I contend that she does know. She knows very well. And that she is working toward changing Middlebury from a quaint rural community to an urban town center. Is this the legacy you want for this council?
Pam, I have a question.
Yes.
You kind of called out Mike there about singling you out. You seem to have made it your life's work to belittle Mary Kripe. I'm just curious why. What personal reason do you have the way you attack her repeatedly over the last 2-3 years?
You know what? This isn't personal.
Sure sounds that way.
Well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, because I really generally don't go to personal situations. It seems personal because it gets personal with
Okay,
some
so
things.
which is or is not? I mean, you
No,
can't have it
I
both
think
ways.
How you interpret it, you could interpret it that way, but I do not. That is not what my attempt is. My attempt is to let you all know, and the people of Middlebury know and understand, that a lot of these things that have come up, you know, they're coming from somebody who's had a long experience with this. And so today, I brought you a little bit of a diagram or a couple of splash charts so that it kind of, you can see. I know all of you were not here in 2020.
I was.
Actually, none of you were, but,
Not on the council,
right. So you didn't participate.
but I was at all council meetings.
Okay. Well, but you didn't make the decisions.
Nope, I did not.
Yeah. So I have this handout for you all.
Sure.
So,
The one thing I do know, Pam, is that there is no one that works harder for this town or in this town than Mary Kripe.
All right. Bonus.
Could have had mine.
All right, any other public comments? All right, moving on to expense vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve for disbursement the expense vouchers as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unfinished business. We had to open a public hearing for the sign variance for the billboard on US 20.
I'll make a motion that we open for public hearing the sign variance hearing for the billboard on US 20.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we're open. Any discussion on that?
Hello, everyone. I was here on April 20th, and
Sorry, if we could have you state whether or not you live in or outside
sorry.
of town.
Name,
Your
name,
name,
please.
please.
Robert Miller.
Okay.
I live in Mishawaka.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I was here on April 20th and gave a presentation on what we're proposing, and we met with the sign committee on Friday. And unless you have questions for me, all the rest is still the same.
Kevin posed a pretty good question. What if something comes on there that we, as a town, might find offensive or that we don't want on there?
You get a hold of us and we
Do
take
we
it
have
down.
override on that? or-
Yes, you do, yes.
Okay.
We talked about that in that meeting as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put restrictions on there, basic restrictions on things, so. But if anything comes up like you brought up the other night, we'll do our best not to let it get through. We're humans, sometimes things get through, and then we'll take it down.
And I believe you said, pardon me, that the sign was tied into like fire department or the town for like Amber Alerts or things like that?
We have a national operations center. It's out of Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And so they can overtake our sign with FBI, with Amber Alerts, with weather alerts, so on and so forth.
Okay, perfect.
Have you notified any of the businesses, particularly Jayco, in that area? Because, I mean, that will affect their line of sight in that area.
No, we have not.
So they're not aware that this sign's going up or anything?
No, other than when it getting posted.
Okay.
Any more questions? I don't think we have any more. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
I think then we have to take action.
Yep.
yes.
And in your packet should have been our sort of, as part of our application packet, there's the form action on the petition. The town council can either approve, deny, or approve with conditions the requested sign variance. So if you have any conditions that you want to impose, you can do that at this time as part of the motion to approve, or, yeah, that's basically what the form says. So-
I guess my question is to piggyback on Kevin, so forgive me if you guys okay something, but yet we don't find it acceptable, what is the potential recourse? I mean, it's, you know, them versus us. I mean, is there any rights or conditions that we could reserve to say?
Well, any restrictions would have to be consistent with sort of standard First Amendment speech, so it would have to be viewpoint neutral. But anything that's objectively offensive is not necessarily protected. It's just sort of a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
So I will make a motion that we accept the signboard's positive review and allow for the sign variance for the billboard on US 20.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? I think everybody said aye. All righty. New business. Oh, I'm sorry. We got a resolution here for the front end loader. Forgot about that. Sorry, Robert.
That's okay. Good evening. After the last meeting, we were fortunate enough to demo the next size larger on the front end loader. It was night and day difference. The stability of it was just night and day. So we do believe that that is the right machine for us. And if you guys are good, we'd like to proceed moving forward with it.
And there was still significant reduction in price through the.
39% discount, yeah.
39%.
So I've prepared the special purchase resolution. There's a couple of justifications under Indiana law when you can do a special purchase without the standard bidding process, and one of those is a governmental discount like this. Also, a governmental purchasing program, which Sourcewell they do have a government-issued contract, so that would fall theoretically under that state contract as well. So those are two potential areas. And there may have been some others identified in this special purchase resolution, but that would just, that goes over that. So if you want to approve that, you can just approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2026-02, the special purchase of a front-end loader in the amount of,
26,000.
forgive me, is it $236,612.20?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yes.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Just
All
to
in-
make the
oh.
point, I'm sorry, just to make the point for record that the 200,000 is allocated from the MVH large equipment, and the remaining is from the CC Development large equipment line. So they are in the budget. We're not going above.
Right.
Thanks for that clarification.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
You,
I
Robert.
want to see you joy riding, Robert.
No problem.
All right, new business, the 2025 council report and capital finance plan.
Hi, everyone. If I'm a familiar face to you, it might be because I am. I'm Amber Nielsen from Baker Tilly. I do not live in Middlebury.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But I drive through Middlebury and visit Middlebury quite often. So it is
Thank you
definitely
again.
not strange at all to me. I live in South Bend and spend a lot of time over here and drive over here as I'm going to all of my clients. So typically, so I'm here tonight mainly to focus on the utilities. I know you have a really long agenda, so I'm going to give you the high points, and then if there's any questions or follow-up, you're more than welcome to ask me. I know typically you either see Jeff Rao or Ian Stoll talking about utilities to you all. Ian is on paternity leave. Jeff is in Mishawaka for another meeting, so you get me tonight. And again, I'm Amber Nielsen. So before I go into the utilities, a couple months ago, you guys got a hard copy of the annual council packet. There's a little bit of duplicate information here in terms of the utilities, so high level, everything in that packet looked really well on the town side. You were spending right at your budget, which was really well, and there was strong fund balances, nothing for us to be concerned about. And on the town civil side, we are also updating the 5-year financial plan. You'll see that is what is prepared for the utilities, but on the town side, it's taking us a little bit longer just due to the property tax changes from Senate Enrolled Act 1. There's some local income tax changes. So I will be back here in front of you within the next couple of months talking about that, but tonight we're just gonna mainly focus on utilities. So you should have a water report and a sewer report. I'm gonna start with water. The first page, and you'll see these are in the same format, there is a narrative that our hopes would be there's a lot of numbers in these reports. You could read this narrative and it should be the high points, kind of give you everything you need to know through this. So overall, year-end cash summary, and you'll see this throughout the report for water. It was really positive, really well. Water utility did decrease some fund balances, but that was all project spending from 2024. So there's no concerns there. Financial summary, operating receipts actually came in quite a bit higher, about $500,000 higher than in 2024, which again is really positive. Operating disbursements came in just a little bit higher, but not even close to what those receipts came in higher. So we saw positive cash flows for water in 2025. All were good signs. And then you'll see in this report, we look forward a handful of years to kind of estimate the future health. Now, I know water and sewer, which we'll also talk about, have some upcoming projects potentially. I know for both utilities, we're waiting on SRF, the state revolving fund, to release their project priority list, which comes out end of June, beginning of July, to kind of see where Middlebury falls and what financing may look like. But the information, what we have today for water, the project estimates on, it was, water tower and some water main updates are really that big 2027 project, as well as the current interest rates from SRF. Forward looking, even when we add in those potential new debt service payments for a potential loan for those projects, water's looking really good looking forward. And at this time, with the information that we have, now of course, project bids often surprise us, interest rates surprise us as well, but based on the information we have today, water may not need a rate increase to do that project and sustain those additional debt service payments. But of course, once we get to the point where, yes, if water is moving forward with a project, if it's through SRF or some other sort of funding, we will have to more closely review the numbers to be absolutely sure. But as of today, water's looking really good, and you'll see that throughout this report. So the final on page W1, rate adjustment recommendation, there really is nothing at this time that we would bring to your attention. But again, there's a lot of playing parts here, so that could be to be determined. So that is kind of the summary of our report. I'll go through the schedules pretty quickly with you just to save you time. So on page W2, this is where we are comparing where the water utilities fund balances ended at the end of 2025 versus where they should be. So if you look at those three columns at the very top of the page, you've got your account balances, your minimum balance required and recommended, and then your variance. Your total variance, water is well above where it is even recommended to be. So water is looking great. You'll see a negative there for the operation and maintenance fund. That's nothing to be worried about. That's more so timing between like transfers from operation to the improvement fund. It's nothing to be concerned about. And those two funds kind of share money frequently, so that the negative doesn't raise any red flags at all, because there is ample dollars to offset that in the improvement fund. Everything below those fund balances is really just, these are required per your bond ordinance, all of our kind of notes on how we come up with what's required or recommended. So I'm not going to kind of bore you with all of that details, but it is because water has outstanding bonds. You do have requirements, what you need to keep in your fund balances, just based on your bond ordinance and the promise to your bondholders. So page W3, I know there's a lot of numbers on this page. Actually, W3 and W4 is where I said we're looking forward 5 or so years for the water utility. So we look back 3 years, so you'll see the actual columns, which is the first 3 columns from the left, 23 through 25, and then you'll see forward 26 through 2030. And if you look kind of next to the index all the way on the left-hand side, you'll see this is very detailed, broken out by what did water bring in terms of operating receipts, metered sales, going on to operating disbursements, kind of down to the detail of your labor, your uniform cleaning, your equipment, et cetera, et cetera. So all of these are really for your knowledge. Now, one point for operating receipts, we did increase that beginning in 2026, not due to any rate increases, but because you do have a new user who just came online in March, I believe, or ish. March, April, okay. So that is why you'll see receipts increasing. And then operating disbursements, you'll see those are increasing as well. We're pretty conservative there. We take some averages of the past few years and then apply a 3% inflationary increase. So we try to be very conservative, and we don't build in unless you tell us, there's a new large user that there's any aggressive growth or anything. We kind of want you to plan for, I don't want to say worst case scenario, but we would like for you to end up better than what these numbers show. So if you go through all of the detail and you move through and onto page W4, I'm going to draw your attention down to index number 73, which is the change in fund balance. So really, if you see a positive number there, that means your cash increased that year or will increase. If you see a negative number, it's a decrease, right? So for 25 and 26, you'll see large decreases. Don't let those worry you. That is the project spending. If we remove those out of there from 2024, the 2024 bonds, we would see positives. So you can kind of see once those bond proceeds are spent down for that project, in 27, looking forward to 2030, you see positives. And that is where I'm saying, where I said looking forward, everything looks really well. And we are building in, beginning in 2030, estimated debt service payments for the data we have today for a 2027 bond from that future project. So overall, everything looks really good. Debt service coverage remains above where you need to be to have SRF bonds, which is 125%. So you'll see that remains positive. Everything's looking great for water. Page W5 is really just kind of going into detail all of our assumptions we used on W3 and W4. So I'm going to jump to W6. And this is pretty much all of those numbers, but a graphical kind of in totality view. So you can see the lines, so the teal or blue line, that's the estimated ending fund balances compared to the red line, which is your recommended reserve balance, and then the gray line, which is like your bare minimum required. So what this is telling you again is kind of what I said, all looking well. The teal is above both of those targets for the forecasted period as this goes out through 2030. We have no concerns. Everything's looking really good. Page W7, so this is the capital improvement plan that we work with Mary on. Mary sends us updates, and you guys have so many projects. That's really good. But this is what we've kind of built into those future cash flows. So when we say everything's looking good, your rates are adequate, you can afford your capital improvement plan for what you plan to cash fund, aside from what you plan to finance through SRF. This is what is built into those numbers. So I know things change, and Mary sends us those updates frequently. And of course, you know, we're always able to kind of rerun these numbers on what if this major project pops up and we have to get that done. The next several pages are more kind of for your information. W8 focuses on the water utilities' largest users, which make up quite a bit of the water utilities' total collections. This is just good knowledge to have because, you know, when you've got such large users, they certainly kind of drive what those collections look like for each utility. And then W9 and W10 are just your outstanding loan payments for the 21 and 2024 bonds, so that's just informational. W11 is the estimated project costs that I keep referencing for the 2027 project, which again is the water tower and the water main and then service line replacement. So, you know, our current estimates that we have are about 9.6 million. So of course, you know, if that changes materially, we would want to know about it to again kind of run those numbers. And then W12 is just data as of today, interest rates based on that 9.6 million, what kind of a debt service or a repayment schedule might look like on those 2027 bonds. You will see the first couple years of principal payments are $1,000. We typically like to work with SRF to kind of wrap them around your other debt to make it the least impact to your rates. W13 is really just all of those debt payments shown on one schedule together to kind of see holistically what do you pay in a given year, what will you pay in a given year.
Amber,
Yes.
are those just principal balances, or does that include the interest
On,
on W13?
that's principal and interest.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then the final page, W14, and you'll see the same one in sewer as well, is really just to compare how do Middlebury rates compare to state average. And so that state average is something we actually calculate every couple of years. Baker Tilly does a statewide utility rate study. And so we kind of update that state average. So that state average is from 2025. So, you know, a resident typically, when they get their bill, they look at their total bill. They don't look at what's water, what's sewer. So a total bill for a 4,000 gallon user for a community of Middlebury size is just over $100. And you guys are just a few dollars below that. So you're kind of right on point there. Any questions, thoughts about water before I jump into sewer? Okay. Okay, so sewer, again, same layout. So I'm going to kind of focus mainly on S1, which is the high points, since you'll kind of see very similar schedules. Sewer, as of December 31st, 2025, did increase fund balances by about $514,000. That was mainly due to, it looked like maybe not as much anticipated capital spending as what we were estimating in our prior year utility report. So that is good if projects came under budget, but if it was just projects were delayed, then you may see, you know, an additional decrease in this year. Kind of depends. However, you will also see that total fund balances for sewer, same boat as water, were well above the recommended reserves, and you'll see those numbers on the next page. Sewer, under the 2025 financial summary paragraph, we do note sewer's operating receipts were just a hair under what was seen in 2024, so they were about $37,000 lower than 2024. Nothing major to be concerned about, and could just be timing or fluctuations in kind of usage. But operating disbursements were about $73,000 higher than 2024. So just something that we'll keep an eye on to make sure it's not a trend that we continue to see where operating disbursements are continuing to go up, and we also, we want operating receipts to not go down, certainly, but nothing major that we would kind of raise the red flags for right now. Estimated future health, we do kind of see a little bit of the opposite in terms of water and sewer in the forecasted period, which I'll show you here in a couple pages. We do estimate some decreases in a couple of the future years. That is due mainly to capital spending. Sewer just added a pilot payment, and then sewer also has some proposed 2027 bonds, quite a big project that's kind of on that horizon that's helping drive that as well. So we'll want to make sure we kind of closely monitor that situation, both on the operating and the capital spending side, which we will help Mary and Shaylee do as often as we need to. But under the rate adjustment recommendation, there's nothing we're saying you need to do right now. Just something to think about is that when we get to that 2027 project, if sewer moves forward with the financing, we do estimate with the data we have today that sewer will need a rate increase in order to afford those debt payments, as well as maintain that 125% debt service coverage, which SRF will require. So again, we're a little bit, depending on project timing, project size, interest rates, really kind of depends on what that looks like. But with the data right now, we are estimating that to be around 45%. So typically what happens is before you close on SRF bonds, and you may all know this because you do have multiple SRF bonds outstanding, we as your financial advisor do a report and have to prove to SRF with a financial report that your rates can afford all of this. Then you have to have those rates adopted before SRF will close on that bond. So, remind me, is project spring or fall 27? Fall. So really, you'd be looking at late summer, fall 28.
No, the lift station.
Oh, the lift station, yeah.
Did you say 28?
No, late 27.
27, okay, sorry, making sure. We're looking at late summer, early fall 2027, in which that would be kind of the very last, unless the project gets delayed, that'd be kind of the deadline for you all to take action on those rates. Now, of course, there's a lot of time, well, I say that, but it feels like there's not a lot of time because time's just zooming lately. There is enough time for us to be in front of you kind of really looking at those numbers if this begins to move forward. So we're still kind of at the point of we have to wait for the PPL, the project priority list, in July. Then we begin conversations with SRF of what does this look like for Middlebury, and then we're kind of like talking with them, talking with you, talking with, like what does this look like, running the numbers on what that rate increase looks like. But as of today, we do estimate a rate increase would be needed. Now, again, like I said, nothing you need to do today. You're still a little over a year out, but some councils, when you're expecting a rate increase, may choose to get ahead of that and say, we're going to enact 5% today, and then have 5%, another 5% or so effective January 1. And then, but the issue with that is while you're kind of getting a little bit ahead of it, is then there's a likelihood you would have to adopt rates twice, because you'd adopt the kind of starter rates now, and then likely right after we get bids for the project, you'd have to do it again. So some councils are like, we don't want to do it twice, we're just doing it once. But something to think about, whether you want to start that process sooner than next summer or fall. But in our report, it certainly can wait until next year for a rate action.
And you could do a phase-in approach, correct? Like,
Yes.
instead
Yeah,
of
and
adopting
so-
multiple times, it'd be one with a phase-in.
Yeah, and so that's a good
Right.
point. So if you started now, you could phase it in two. But when we get bids and we're doing that financial report for SRF, we try to, like, if you want to phase it, we try to really extend it, like, as far as possible, because they will let you pay those $1,000 principal payments until, I believe, the end of construction. So you can kind of get like 2 years or so where you've got pretty low payments, and then we try to wrap them around your other payments. So we try to get it where we can stretch it over as many phases as we can, and they're good with that. Do you guys typically normally phase in rates?
That's what we did for the
Okay.
water one.
Yeah.
We've just not had to go to phase 2.
Right,
or
and I
3.
did see that, and that's good.
So,
Yeah. But yeah, and we would always recommend phasing, because you could adopt it in one meeting, but then have those phases be effective when you set them. So overall sewer, as we go through the numbers, I mean, real quickly on S2, you'll see again, fund balances as of the end of '25 up top were well above the recommended reserve. So, you know, as of that date and as of today, really no major concerns. S3 and S4 are those forward-looking cash flows that we walked through in sewer. Again, same methodology where we're increasing operating disbursements, we're increasing the receipts due to that new large user. So then if you look at S4, it's index 73. That's your, 70. That's your change in fund balance, your positive or your negative, and you will see for sewer in the future years, we start to see some negatives. And then as well as index 78 debt service coverage. Remember how I said it needs to be right around that 125%. That 27, 28 is when we kind of start seeing that dip too far below. And this does include bond payments in 2030. If you hop to then S6, you kind of see that same message on the graph, where you can see it's at 2028 when sewer gets right to the recommended reserves, and then after that, it dips below. And so this is kind of why we're doing this exercise. We don't want you guys to dip below. We want to make sure you're at least at the required, but ideally at the recommended, and we can help you get there and propose, rate adjustments if need be. Of course, rate adjustments are one way, but there's also other ways to minimize your rate adjustments. I don't know if there's any efficiencies that, could be missed. A lot of communities I'm working with are going through efficiency studies. Are there shared services opportunities between, maybe water is paying for something that also sewer is paying for, but maybe it could be shared. Just kind of brainstorming some ideas of rather than just raising rates, how can sewer, safely and efficiently, cut down on its annual budget. Just throwing that out there for some ideas. S7 then is the capital plan that we worked with Mary on, and then S8 through the rest of the report are all kind of the debt schedules and the state average to current rates that we look through water. Any questions, concerns, anything you want me to clarify on sewer? Did I put you to sleep? Okay. Okay, good. As always, if you have follow-up questions, if you're reviewing the report, you may have my contact info. If you don't, Shaylee and Mary do. Otherwise, we're happy to answer questions. And as soon as we get that PPL in July, we'll kind of be looking at what's next for Middlebury and these projects, and that'll move our discussions on the utilities forward. But today, everything's looking really well, so.
Amber, may we just say we appreciate you guys working with Mary and
Yes.
Shaylee and the staff here in
Absolutely,
checking,
absolutely. And thank you for letting us work with you. It's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure. I'll say this, hopefully Ian's not on paternity leave watching the meeting, but I will say, you guys, I think you're his favorite town, so he loves you guys, but so do I. But Ian talks so highly of you all and loves working with your utilities as he does. So again, if there's any follow-up, let us know. Always happy to take a phone call or an email and or come back and chat with you more, but we will be in touch very soon.
Is there any projections, like if we were to do an increase, like a smaller increase,
Yes.
as to savings as far as what the increase would have to be when the actual bond takes? when we take
Yeah,
the
I
bond
could
out?
kind of provide some scenarios for you in terms, I could kind of maybe provide more of like a slimmed down S3 and S4 and kind of what that looks like if you did, if you got 10% ahead of that 40%. We don't want to say go the full 40 because
We don't
maybe
wanna
a
say that
miracle
either.
would happen
Right.
and,
40 is a big
the
number.
project comes in half under budget. But yeah, small incremental increases, we can certainly provide some scenarios on what that would look like and maybe kind of a proposed timing that you guys could consider and think about and then see where you want to go from there.
That'd be very helpful.
Okay. If also the shared expenses between the utilities, if you have
Sure.
any specific recommendations, I
yeah.
think you kind of alluded to that. would
Absolutely. I
be
can go
interested-
a
yeah,
little bit deeper and maybe there's not, maybe
Sure.
but I know there's, especially even on the civil side, with the town, there's a lot of communities really, really looking at that just because, I work with Goshen and they're like, well, cemetery and park, they have to be duplicating something and there's got to be some sort of cost saving. So I can go a little bit deeper and maybe chat with Shaylee and Mary to see if there are opportunities and we can issue maybe like a brief memo on some things to consider.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
One thing real quick. So you mentioned in the water that you included the new large water user on the south side.
Yes.
Did you include that in the sewer?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
Just
it's
asking.
included on both of the revenues for 26 and 27 because because it started March or April. So, yep. Okay.
Good.
If there's anything else, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to head out. Enjoy. Hopefully you get through your quick agenda.
Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.
We'll be ready for Chris.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure.
The water model study?
No, you're fine. I just had the question. See ya. Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
You have it on the big board.
Yes, we can, but I was going to introduce you real quick, Chris. Hi, I'm Emily Waymeyer from Donahue and Associates. I do not live in Middlebury.
Thank you, Emily.
I live in Carmel. So I'd like to introduce Chris Safford, who's going to talk a little bit about the water modeling update we've been doing. He is out of one of our Missouri offices, but he is our Donahue chief water modeler, so wanted to bring in the expert for this one.
Okay.
So attention to the screen, please.
Good. Thank you.
No, I'm good. I can see it.
So can everybody hear me then?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I'm Chris Safford. Like Emily said, I'm with Donahue and Associates. And essentially I'm the senior hydraulic modeler for the company. I've been working with Middlebury now for a couple months, working on the town's model, essentially helping Mary and her staff be able to make some wise decisions on how to move forward, how to size pipes, seeing where the problems are in the system, so we can really address them on a systematic and costly approach. So I'm going to give a brief overview of what a water model does. Essentially, it's built from the information that's in your system, in your GIS system. And what it really does is it's able to accurately predict these what if scenarios. What if we take this tower offline? How does the system react to that? If we need to upsize a pipe, should we use an 8-inch or a 10-inch or a 12-inch? Of being able to simulate these results in a computer model versus just going out and arbitrarily replacing things and potentially oversizing things and spending money where we really don't need to spend money when we put in a 12 but it really only needed an 8, you could have put those extra dollars for material costs to something else. Like I said, you can identify system deficiencies in either pressure or flow, how the pumps at the high service pump station and the how those flows are getting out into the system, how the towers are reacting to that, and how they're reacting throughout the day from various demands on the system. When we're bringing in large customers like the egg processing facility down in the south, how does that really affect the overall system, having a very large user down on the really the extreme south end of the water system? Additional modeling can be modeling water age. Essentially, water age is a good indicator of the residual chlorine that's left in the system. And when it gets to a certain age, that chlorine can get down below what IDEM requires in the system for safe drinking water. Also, we can kind of identify where water will start to stagnate and start getting odor and taste issues. And what we just recently used it for was the US 20 construction permit for IDM. Emily just had to call me up. Hey, Chris, I need to know what the pressures are along US 20 for the construction permit, and literally takes 5 minutes to pull those and be able to get her that information versus somebody going out and having to go measure those pressures in those areas. So the way I built the Middlebury model was there was a previous hydraulic model. When I was first given the model, I did try to run it, and it had numerous errors in it. A bunch of the scenarios wouldn't even run. So it made sense to rebuild the model utilizing all of the GIS shapefiles, which were more up to date than what was in the old model. It was just easier, more time efficient to rebuild the model with all of the new information that had changed from when the old model was built versus what it is out today. The information that went into is your pipes, the valves, and the tanks from the system, and then also was able to bring in customer usage data, being able to use your current operational strategy for when pumps turn on and off, based on either pressure or tank levels. The pressure zones, there are 3 distinct pressure zones within Middlebury. Talking to Mary and getting her staff of all the proposed improvements that everybody is currently looking at, and then also some potential out in the future improvements that wanted to be modeled. And then also bringing on the new large customers that have been added to the system in the last couple of years. So overall, the pipe inventory is approximately 52.5 miles of pipe that is larger than 2-inch. Typically, 1-inch or less, 2-inch and less is normally considered service lines. There are actually some 2-inch lines that are serving multiple houses that are interconnected in between 2 larger pipes. Those are in the model that way, just so I can see how those react. And those are areas that we're kind of targeting also of replacing with larger diameter pipes. And then for tanks, you guys currently have 4 tanks. Tower 1, which is near Lawrence. It's currently a 300,000 gallon spheroid style tank. It is also being replaced with a 500,000 gallon spheroid tank. Tower 2 is along US 20. That one also we're looking at essentially taking it offline and replacing it with a new tower on the Jayco property to the southeast of that location. Tower 3 is a 200,000 gallon spheroid at the very far northeast corner of the system. And then Tower 4 is a 500,000 gallon pillar style tank that's near Northridge High School. So like I did say before, there are 3 distinct pressure zones. The north pressure zone is on the north side of town, and essentially that's where the water treatment plant is. The south pressure zone is also on the south side of town. It's also being fed by the water treatment plant. The north pressure zone essentially is hydraulically controlled by tanks 1 and 3. And then the south is being hydraulically controlled by tanks 2 and 4. The zone 3, which is, hopefully you can see my cursor, is this kind of central area that's really kind of up on a bluff. There is a booster station just south of tank 1 that pumps into zone 3. When the pressures get low enough, zone 3 can also be backfed from the south zone when towers 2 and 4 are full or close to being full. As for pumps, so the high service pumps at the the water treatment plant, pump into the north and south pressure zones. They are all the same size pumps, but the flow is going 2 different directions. And then the booster station pumps into zone 3. So part of the model build is taking fire hydrant flow testing that the operators do on an annual basis and putting that information into the system to calibrate the model. This is now taking real world results and trying to get the model by changing various coefficients of getting the model to accurately represent what we're seeing real time out in the field. So for the modeling criteria and assumptions, there are a couple national and statewide standards. Minimum 35 PSI during average day demands. That is both an IDEM and a 10-state standard. So on an average day at ground level, you should have at least 35 PSI. If there is a fire going on and the fire department is now fighting the fire, you are allowed to go down to 20 PSI within the system without having any type of boil order during those firefighting activities. Again, we try to not have that happen, and we prefer to actually run higher than 35 PSI, so you do have a little bit more wiggle room, and you can get more fire flow out of hydrants. The fire flow requirements, they do vary on various building types and also various zoning, and it really goes back to various building types. The Insurance Services Office, which is ISO, does have it's about a 90-page criteria of exactly how fire flows are, or required fire flows for various buildings are really calculated. And it has more to do with building construction type than really anything else. This is more of a summary of what really kind of boils down to. So on the left-hand side, this is single family, and single family less than, or 3 stories or less, is really more based on distance between houses. So the minimum is 500 gallons per minute. And then if you have very close proximity houses, it goes up to 1,500 gallons per minute. For the other zoning, it's commercial, multifamily schools, and industrial. You can see that for commercial, it's 2,500 gallons. The duration is the total volume that you need in storage to be able to fight fires without any type of pumping backup coming into the system. So talking to Mary and her team, there have been essentially 11 planned improvements that we've been really focusing on. The first one is US 20 from County Road 35 to SR 13. So that's this stretch all the way through here. This is currently it's either going to bid or it's out to bid right now. Um, Another one that we're looking at, this is a future improvement, is along SR 13 from Sunrise Lane on the south up to York Drive. We're looking at essentially replacing all of this with a 10-inch main. SR 13 from US 20 up to the 16-inch. There's a 16-inch that cuts across right here into the south pressure zone of essentially connecting here and then connecting down at US 20. Like I said before, the Lawrence tank number 1 is being replaced. It also is being raised up to approximately, has an overflow of 988, which better matches, it's actually up here, tank number 3. Bristol from Railroad Street to County Road 8, which is this segment up through here. I'm using the model to determine if it should be an 8 or 10-inch. Number 6. This is Warren Street from SR 13 out to Riverbend Park Road. This is where the water line actually turns north. This bridge is being replaced, and Mary would like to replace this stretch when that bridge is being done at the same time. Mill Street from Warren to Lawrence, which is this stretch here. This is a stretch of 4-inch line that will be upsized. There's some other at the Pickle House Pickleball area. This is some increasing size along with Crystal Valley Manor, which is right here. State Street, this is one of the locations of, this is actually 2-inch line that multiple homes are being served off of, and it will be replaced. I'm sizing that pipe as well. And then Warren Street from Mill to Bluebird is right here. So numerous planned and proposed projects that we're looking at to really size the pipes and see exactly what these changes do within the system. So using the planned improvements and then also building the model scenarios. First thing that Mary wanted to look at was taking tower number 2, which is the one along US 20, out of service. Next one is then replacing that tower number 2 with, I'm calling it 2A on the Jayco property, which is further to the southeast of this location, and it would be tying into a different location in the system. So understanding how that's going to operate within that pressure zone is very important. Wanted to look at removing the booster station and essentially just feeding it, essentially backfeeding it from the south pressure zone. Did ask to see if tower number 3 is being raised by 10 feet. Essentially, that's going to raise it higher than it currently is to try to increase pressures in the north zone. The Essenhouse property water main. This is a stretch of water main that actually kind of goes cross country. So it's not really in right of way. And Mary was just curious to see, could it be taken out of service, and really what would it do to the system? I started looking at the system-wide fire flow analysis. So essentially trying to understand how all the fire hydrants in the system are really operating and what their available fire flow is being predicted by the model. I identified a bottleneck in pressure zone number 3. That is actually a very serious bottleneck that probably should be addressed. And then overall pipes replacements and size recommendations. That's really taking all of those other proposed projects that we've been discussing and really trying to determine, do they need to be 8-inch? Do they need to be 10? Do they need to be 12? Whatever the size really should be, do they have the best economic solution? So the first one is taking tower number 2 out of service. So there are two elevated tanks in the south pressure zone. Really, kind of everything is being driven off of the North Ridge Tower, being that it's the furthest away. So the system does still operate as intended. However, the North Ridge, because of the reduction of overall volume in the system, the North Ridge Tower is cycling a lot more, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not. You really don't want to see the tanks overturning. I mean, this is within what you're seeing to the right is on the existing system. It's essentially turning over twice. With the reduction of volume, it's now turning over 4 times. It's just a lot of velocity in and out of the system, or in and out of the tank. You are getting good mixing on it, which is a good thing, but it's a lot of in and out. The biggest issue though is taking that volume out of service is really not recommended because of all of the industrial area in that zone. To fight a fire, you're going to need the water. So replacing the US 20 tank with one on the Jayco property, essentially it's going to match what the US 20 power was for overflow elevation and size. So it's really acting just like the US 20 tank. The biggest issue that I saw was because it is closer to the water treatment plant and to the high service pumps, it's tending to fill up quicker than the US 20. So the North Ridge tank really isn't able to fully fill. So if this tower is proposed on a different location, it is probably be a good idea to put an altitude valve on that particular tank to allow it to fill up to its overflow. The altitude valve would then stop flow and allow the system pressures to build up slightly more to essentially overcome the head loss to the North Ridge Tower to completely fill the North Ridge Tower. And then once the tower is full, the high service pumps would turn off, and then it will then start draining, going through its normal cycle. As soon as the system gets to a pressure that it gets low enough, and the pumps would then turn on. It would just allow essentially be able to utilize full volume on both the North Ridge and the Jayco properties tanks. So looking at over in zone 3 of removing the booster station that really feeds it. On the graph, the red line is what it would be without the booster station there. And essentially you can see where the things are dropping below 35 psi, and essentially these are the times where the tanks 2 and 4 are full. So, and then for existing conditions with the booster station running, this is where the pressures are normally. So this is what the customers in those areas are seeing on a daily basis. They would really notice a 20 psi drop in pressure, especially when taking showers is when you really notice it. So it is not recommended to take the booster station out of service, and using some of the other analysis, doing some upgrades to the booster station may be a good thing as well. So raising tower number 3 by 10 feet. So this tower is actually taller than the existing tower 1. So raising it by 10 feet really doesn't help the overall system. because the two towers are hydraulically driving all of the north zone. If it was raised, then an altitude valve would have to be installed at Tower 1 so it does not overflow. But with Tower 1 being replaced and the overflow being raised to better match tower number 3, overall the system actually runs at a better pressure anyway. You're gaining almost 10 feet just because of the differences in elevations between tower number 1 and tower number 3. And 10 feet's about 4.5 psi. So looking at the Esmond House property water main, like I said, this water main kind of goes cross country back through here. This is south pressure zone. Here's US 20. And essentially, it's connecting back into here. Taking this out of service didn't necessarily have any real negative effects to the system. However, removing this water line loop could potentially have a water age. I haven't gone through all the analysis on the water age side of this, of water essentially stagnating back in here. With this kind of being a dead end, it's looped within itself, but you're going to start getting some water age right here. This line essentially is able to push water up through this system up into this line here, which does help kind of turn over the water in the system. So overall, the initial recommendations is not to remove this line, just from, I think, the water age. Once I finish all that analysis, I think it definitely is going to show that the age of the water back in these areas is going to get pretty high. Looking at the fire flow analysis, essentially running it with the existing system, there were two key areas where we had less than 500 gallons per minute. These are all located in zone 3. And then down in this location, this is actually where the connection, there's a check valve. So between the north and south pressure zones. So the cursor keeps on disappearing. These are essentially on a dead end main, and it's only a 6-inch main. Those can be, there are a couple ideas that I have to be able to take care of that. Putting in a PRV to essentially allow water to come from the south pressure zone, which is a higher pressure, to the north, and here in at least small quantities would take care of that issue here. This area is being caused because of a bottleneck. There's a 4-inch water line that serves all of this area. So this 4-inch line just is not big enough to be able to get enough fire flow through it. So looking at that bottleneck, I did upsize this I tried a 6-inch first. And essentially, it fixed all the problems except for one location. I put it to an 8-inch, and now we are over the 500 gallons per minute in this location, in these locations. So other system bottlenecks, I'm still kind of going through everything kind of line by line, but in this particular area, in the north pressure zone, there's quite a bit of 4-inch water main. It's all relatively old cast iron water main, or I believe it's all cast iron for the 4-inch water main. All of it's probably getting pretty close to the end of its service life. So these are areas that some of the projects we are already looking at to upsize pipe, but this is an area that 4-inch just really is not very sustainable to provide adequate fire flows. It's just the velocities get too high, and the head loss through a 4-inch line is very high at high velocities. I typically recommend not going with new construction, not go anything smaller than an 8-inch, except for non-hydrant Fire hydrant leads are typically always 6 inches, but connecting into that, trying to stick with 8-inch lines. You can get away with, if it's a loop system, sometimes, depending on pressure, a 6-inch loop, but it's usually this recommended, this go with an 8-inch as a standard for new construction. So overall, there is some additional modeling that I'm still currently working on. Water age is one of the big things that I'm really trying to run through and get a good understanding of how the system over a course of time, and usually those extended periods are 2 weeks, a month, really trying to understand how the water, where is it not moving, where are we getting good refreshing of water, and be able to give that to the operators and say, hey, here's some areas, maybe put in some looping and these areas would take care of this, or just being aware of it and doing some more hydrant flushing to be able to pull some of that older water out and bring in a little bit cleaner water. With that, also operation controls, with the tower number 1 being raised, that probably will have some changes, that the water treatment plant high service pumps will need to change operationally, just so this has forces a better diurnal in the system. Booster station upgrades, along with the pipe upsizing for that one bottleneck, potentially upgrading pumps or providing a third pump for essentially a fire flow pump, that would push additional water into zone 3 to help try to boost up some of the fire flows and try to get them up above that 1,000 gallons per minute. And then I'm putting together a list of key areas for additional fire hydrant testing to help try to calibrate the model in a couple locations where I think we could tweak some things. So once we're done with all the modeling, the final deliverable will be a technical memorandum of all of our findings. Essentially, we'll have a breakdown of the methodology used to build a hydraulic model, summary of the import data and the customer usage, then recommendations for further system testing, pipe replacements, and any pump upgrades that seem to make sense, to help with some of these key areas. With that, any questions or comments or any type of things you want to discuss?
It is a lot.
It was a lot of information.
Got introduced to the phrase water age. Never heard that before.
I don't have any questions.
That's very good.
I'll send a
Good information to know.
It's very informative.
Yeah, that would be good.
It was
I'd
very
like,
informative.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you.
Chris?
Well, thank you.
All right, permission to hire Dirk DeGraw for wastewater treatment foreman.
I don't know. Testing, is it on?
No.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, we're requesting consideration by the council to hire Derek DeGraw for our wastewater treatment foreman. Currently, we have two employees at the wastewater treatment plant, and we did have 5 at one point.
About 2 months ago.
Yeah.
What was his starting date?
May 26th, the day after Labor Day, or Memorial Day, sorry. Wrong holiday. Next week.
Tuesday.
We have two of the other two employees are here. We'll open it up and see if they have any comments. We're glad you guys are here tonight. Appreciate it.
Appreciate that.
And they've been handling everything.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, they've been doing a great job.
And you guys are okay with Derek coming in the foreman position?
That's a big deal.
Is there more discussion on it, or are we waiting on a motion?
I don't know. I think we're waiting on a motion.
I'd make a motion that we hire Derek DeGraw as the foreman of the wastewater treatment plant.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
I did ask a few questions. I'm not sure that I have answers for those questions. This is a difficult decision for me to make.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
No.
All right. Motion carries. Ordinance number 724D, amendment to the 2026 salary ordinance.
So this ordinance would be bringing everybody, or all the different positions, listing them at their correct pay rate, and then also saying which ones were vacant.
Bringing them to what they currently
Updated.
are?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. And which ones are vacant?
yep.
And is that now 2 vacancies?
There's technically a laborer 3 and a laborer 2 vacant, as well as a superintendent vacancy. The laborer 3 and 2 could just be filled by one person, depending on what they come in when they're hired. So
Thank you.
there is an option for laborer 2 and an option for laborer 3, but it would more than likely just be one filled position.
Got
That's
it.
my understanding.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then
so-
the other opening is superintendent.
Yeah, so we would just operate with a total of 4, like 3 for right now, and then eventually add a 4th person, but not go back up to 5.
Okay.
Until we would go to a larger size treatment plant and more testing and all of that would be required. So I guess I should specify that.
Right,
Yeah.
so if we do the expansion,
Yes.
because of the testing requirements, we would need the 5th spot.
When more than,
Yeah.
If.
When?
Yeah,
yeah.
well, right.
Then we'll need more boots on the ground again.
All right, well, I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance 724-D, the amendment to the 2026 salary ordinance.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
I'll abstain.
Okay. Request for payment to FCI Construction for pay application number 9.
So application number 9 for FCI Construction is in the amount of $516,176.34 for the water treatment plant improvements. It's the work done from April 1st through April 30th, and yeah, so this would need your approval before it could be then submitted to the Indiana Finance Authority for funding through SRF.
I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 9 from FCI Construction, the amount of $516,176.34 for the water treatment plant improvements for work done April 1st, 2026 through April 30th, 2026.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. All we're doing is writing checks.
Yep.
Okay, we're on to request for payment to Phoenix Fabricators, right?
Yep.
Yep.
For pay application number 10 for water tower number 1 improvements.
So pay application number 10 is in the amount of $11,618.36, and it's work done from April 16th through May 15th. And again, it's a similar situation to approve it for submittal to Indiana Finance Authority.
Have they done anything?
There's stuff being ordered behind.
Looks like it's mostly purchase of steel.
Yeah, and here pretty soon, I've got a letter drafted that I need to get to Jackson, so that way we can put them on notice that they'll be
hold their feet to the
incurring
fire.
liquidated damages, because their completion date's coming up. We've talked with SRF, or with the Indiana Finance Authority, and they're willing to, like, extend our bond time, the time that we have, because they know that there's a limited number of tower companies that put up towers. So we've talked with them. We just need to make this next step to put them on notice. I think it's $1,000 a day, if I remember right. I'll look that up, though.
So I'll make a motion to approve pay application number 10 from Phoenix Fabricators and Erectors LLC in the amount of $11,618.36 for the water tower number 1 replacement for work done between April 16th, 2026 through May 15th of 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Request for payment to JPR for water system improvements.
So JPR's invoice number 53015 is in the amount of $36,842 for work done through the month of April on these water system improvement projects, and we're asking for consideration by council so we can submit it to IFA.
I'll make a motion that we approve the JPR invoice number 53015 in the amount of $36,842 for work done between April 1st, 2026 and April 30th, 2026 for water system improvement project.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Change order number 2 for water tower number 1.
So this is there's a new sampling port that'll be at the base of the new water tower. And in order to meet item sampling requirements and to keep it from freezing in the winter, we need a heated enclosure. And so that's what this change order is for, in the amount of $4,163.
I have a question. When did the item sampling requirements go into effect?
I don't know. You would think that that would be,
Accounted for a long time ago.
Yeah.
Or anticipated.
Is this again something that they missed?
I can ask.
Yeah. I'd like to
So
know
we
the
can-
answer.
I mean, if you want to table it, and I'll get back to them.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we table this change order number 2 till we get some answers about whether or not this was in effect and they just missed it.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Interlocal agreement with Elkhart County for funding water modeling update project.
So, we have the total amount for the water model that they presented tonight was $80,800, and the Middlebury Redevelopment Commission agreed to fund $60,600 and asked for consideration by Elkhart County Redevelopment Commission to fund $20,200 out of the Middlebury East TIF, and they have agreed to do that. So this interlocal agreement is approvals by all the various boards.
Funds it, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement with Elkhart County for funding of the water modeling update project as presented out of each of the TIF districts.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Agreement with Elkhart County for funding fiber line relocation for US 20 project.
So as a part of the US 20 utility relocation, we have our sanitary sewer line, which is extremely deep, and then our water main just off to the west of it. And then these fiber lines needed to go in approximately the same location too. There's only a limited amount of right-of-way, and it's just easiest for everybody involved to like make one plan because what we're going to be doing is installing the conduits. They're paying for that part, but it's just putting it into our contract because the contract for water and sewer and these conduits is over around $10 million. And so we thought that we could get a better price, number one. Number two, they're going to be in that same trench.
Right.
But we need an interlocal agreement in order to be able to make all of this happen. Anything else that I'm missing?
That's the basics of it.
Is the county paying for a portion of it?
Yeah, so,
Okay.
yeah, the county's sort of piggybacking and putting their, the bidding for their relocation of the fiber is going to be done with this bidding. And then that is going to be line itemed as an alternate, and that will be funded 100% by the county funds. And
So as pay applications come in, we'll put that money in a certain line and we'll pull from that.
Right.
And then once it's all done, we will submit all of our paperwork to the county so they can see everything that we've paid out. And if we owe them money back, then we cut them a check, once they've agreed on,
Right.
reviewed everything and looked at it and agreed. Or if they owe us more, then we'll have to settle that up too.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we pass an agreement with Elkhart County for funding the fiber line relocation for the US 20 project.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Verification of installation of 2 easy valves at the water department?
So these two 12-inch easy valves are already installed, and they were needed to be installed because the 2 existing valves that were there did not work. And in order to make all of this tank stuff work, these valves needed to be installed. I guess Robert was out there, Steve was out there, if anybody has any questions.
That's for the detention tanks. Is that correct?
Clearwell.
Thank you.
So the cost, I think, was $29,552.62.
I'll make a motion that we approve ratification for the installation of 2 easy valves at the water department in the amount of $29,552.62.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Town Hall Building Structural Improvement Recommendations.
So in your packet was some information with regards to the recommendations. It looks like they're wanting to put in some columns. They're getting prices for us on that. Part of the major problem is, I don't know when it happened, honestly, but we put new guttering system on. This was prior to me, and they put in new downspouts. And I don't know if it was during that time or when, but a lot of the water is coming towards the building on the east side. So one of the items that we're going to be working with Public Works is trying to dig out some of that area on the east side, trying to get the water redirected away from the building, making sure we've got the downspouts. Today, with all the rain that came down, It came down so fast and so hard, it just went over the eaves troughs. We didn't plan very good because we were trying to keep the water out with our sandbags, and the water got trapped between the bags and the building, and so we're removing sandbags and squeegeeing stuff out of the building. So anyway, it's not a good thing to build in a floodway. So, and then also another thing that was recommended, because we had so much ice buildup, was to install heat trace instead of heat tape. I guess when they put these new gutters up, they put in heat tape, which is more residential grade or something like that. I'm not an expert on any of this, but they said you need heat trace. And so we're getting a cost to put that in too. So just kind of an update on what's happening there.
All right, agreement with GAI Consultants for Bristol Avenue water main design.
So as a part of that SRF application that we submitted, Bristol Avenue water main is one of those things that needs to be replaced quicker than, I think every year that I've been here, we've had at least 2 breaks a year on that line. GAI is the one that's doing Bristol Avenue reconstruction. They just don't have the topographic survey all the way out to Cedar Creek where it crosses at the cider mill there to go across the river. So we need to get additional topo, design engineering, and then pulling the plans apart and putting just the water main in versus having the whole road design. It's just pulling the plans apart and doing the specifications, and then getting them prepared in the way that IFA would want them to, so that way we can bid them. So it's a little bit different than sending it through the Indiana Department of Transportation, the way that we were originally going to do it. So they have a proposal in the amount of $152,710, and we would probably be bidding this probably in October or November of this year if we get funded, or, the funds to be able to do that project. So, and getting it done and out of the way before we would start moving on the Bristol Avenue project.
And if you are going to approve this, just make it subject to legal review and inclusion of a addendum consistent with town policies, contracting policies. I haven't prepared it quite yet. I will.
So I will make a motion that we approve the agreement with GAI Consultants for Bristol Avenue water main design, consistent with the town's policies and procedures, and
Legal review.
based on legal review.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion on residential property on County Road 12 for utilities.
So in your packet, there's a map that says property to be developed. The property owner, they're planning on doing residential there. They contacted me and asked if the council would consider or allow them to connect to sanitary sewer only. They would prefer to put down their own well. So, and I basically said the first step, is to ask that question. The second step will be the in lieu of annexation agreement. So I'm not sure what your thoughts are on this, and maybe Jackson has some thoughts too about it.
My only thought is if they have to abandon the well if they're connected to water and sewer for county health code stuff. I guess I would have to check on that, but.
So, and it would be a while before they would be annexed. I explained to her that they would be charged the 1.3, the 30% more for water and 50% more for sewer.
But they're looking for sewer only, you said?
That's what she asked.
And there's nothing that states that they have to have both.
That I'm not That I'm
not
not sure.
100% sure.
We probably ought to check that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if,
You mean
you know,
as
it's,
part of our sewer use ordinance or something?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's got to be in one of them, right? Sewer or water use ordinance. Because it always seems to be a package deal whenever we do it. It's water and
typically it
sewer, yeah.
is, yeah.
But the question about whether or not they're connected to sewer would cause any issues with the current well, I don't think
Yeah,
it would.
I don't think it would.
But
I
it's,
don't
but it's a
know.
question worth asking for
I don't know
sure.
if that's an ordinance either.
Yeah.
I seem to recall when we had added somebody in the past, but that might have been for water. They had to abandon their well.
Did that I
And there's no
think-
well down right now on,
Yeah.
there's no well and there's no
septic
septic.
system at all,
No.
right? Just an
It's a
undeveloped
brand new,
piece.
yep, a brand new home.
And if
Just
it
a
was
single-
sewer only, it'd be a flat rate sewer unless they chose to meter it.
It's just a single home?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Well, we
and
get-
we can, yeah, we can, I can let her know that we can get an answer after the next council meeting.
That would be good. That way, make sure there's not anything out there that requires one way or the other. I don't have a problem either way, but we need to know what the rules are.
Motion to table it?
Yes, please.
Motion to
Second.
table it?
Second, oh, did you do it already?
Have a motion and a second? Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Department reports. Steve, you have anything to add?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you for all those words. Robert?
I'm good.
All righty. Well, we have the wastewater department here. You guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I do. I was told I need to approach the mic. I want to make a public, say something publicly, and I think I speak for both Jody and myself. I just want to say thank you to all of the departments here in town, Public Works, Water, GIS, Police, and Parks. We have had somebody from each department approach me personally and offer help should Jody and I need help with either, anything that we, maintenance or whatever, emergencies for sure. But I just wanted to publicly say thank you to all these guys because somebody has approached me from each department. So
That's a great acknowledgement.
you guys are looking for teamwork. I think we're building on
And
teamwork.
we want you to know, both of you, we appreciate the jobs you get done. There aren't many places where two guys could step up and take the place of five, so.
Well, short term, we
Yeah,
got you.
I know. It's help's coming.
Long term,
Not looking forever?
Us old guys are still pretty good.
We know it.
I got an amen for you
Hey,
there.
I'm in the same group there, so let's be careful about who we're calling old.
Yeah,
that was all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
thanks.
And I want to kind of point out the spirit of teamwork that Mary has brought to this town. That wasn't always here. And it's kind of flourished. Tom, you have anything to add?
First of all, it's been a busy week with a couple weeks, but a lot of volunteers helping out. Of course, our normal standard volunteers, park board and landscaping, lots of gardens being planted. We've had some Girl Scouts helping out. Lippert helped out today with moving some mulch. I think we moved, 24 yards of mulch in an hour and a half with them. And
You didn't steal a loader from Robert, did you?
no, that was all wheelbarrows.
He's on the sign-up sheet.
And we had a 4-H club helping out earlier this week or last week, and so just a shout out for that. And then for business-wise, we'd like to hire a part-time mower. Looking at Ethan Miller, hiring him on for, and it's within our summer help salary range area there. That was appropriations. So, but just wanted to get let you guys know about that and get a approval for that. So
You said it was $13.75?
$13.75, yeah.
And at this time, we don't believe he will be driving. If he does end up driving. We just have to make sure insurance will cover him because he is young. So,
It's Robert's son, so,
but
Bat Miller.
Maybe we say it's always encouraging this time of the year to see the parks getting some good heavy use with pictures and people out enjoying the parks and everything. So again, thank you to you and your staff.
They look great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Do we need a motion
to hire,
to hire?
I believe so, if you guys are ready to move on it.
I'll make the motion to whatever Tom said. I don't remember what he said.
We didn't
Ethan
name the
Miller?
details.
Hiring of Ethan Miller at $13.75.
At 1370, yeah, what Shaylee said.
Subject to insurance?
It doesn't have to be subject to insurance, only if he
Right.
ends up
Only if
driving.
he would.
So, but,
Right.
right, he can be a passenger in the vehicle all day long right now, but if he were to be behind the wheel, we would have to run him through insurance, which I'll probably do anyway, just to see if they'd cover him, and then if he's covered, great. If not, that just means that he has to be toted around everywhere. He's probably used to it, I mean, he's not that old, but he probably was enjoying his independence right now.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye.
And I have to abstain.
All righty. Marshall, you have anything to add? No, sir. All right, announcements. Middlebury Park Board meeting will be May 20th at 10 a.m. here at the Town Hall. Elkhart County Board of Zoning hearing, officer, May 20th at 9 a.m. at the Public Services Building. Elkhart County Board of Zoning Appeals, May 21st at 9 a.m. at the Public Services Building. The town offices will be closed on May 25th for Memorial Day. Middlebury Redevelopment Commission meeting on May 28th at 7 a.m. here at the Town Hall. And the next Town Council meeting will be June 1st at 6 p.m. here at the Town Hall, and we are adjourned.